Sing like you're moaning. Yes, that is the title of today's video. Can I help you? Can I help you?
Sing like you're moaning?
Yes.
I told you you can't use that word in camera.
Well, it describes perfectly the concept.
I'm leaving.
Yes. Hello, my dear CTS community. I know it's been quite a long time, but we do have another video for you guys today. In this video, I'd like to clarify a lot of concepts that I've spoken about, perhaps concepts that have been misinterpreted by people, and really get to the bottom of it. Why do I say sing like you're moaning? Because a lot of the concepts that I've spoken about in my previous videos revolve around singing with this suspiro, this sigh. But I think a lot of people have taken what I've said, which is an isolation. Okay, it's a concept to isolate an idea and have come to the conclusion that that is the final voice, the final product, the final result. No, that is step one. That's a concept for a beginner or for someone who perhaps has gotten accustomed to singing with a lot of muscularity, tension, force. And so I say, begin with this feeling of sighfulness, release, gentle approach. But the final result is a culmination of 100 different concepts that a singer over time, over many years of training, develops to get the final product. The problem is that most teachers teach the final product, the final result. They try to get a beginner student or a beginner singer to get the final result immediately. And it doesn't work that way. So I like to isolate concepts. Many people understand the concept of a sigh. However, that doesn't mean that you take that concept and then that's it, you're done. All right, ready to go. You're an opera singer and you sing that way. That's not the final result. No, singing requires an element of pressure, subglottic pressure, which comes from being engaged in the body, the appoggio. You're very much an oxygen tank. But if we approach full-bodied singing in a muscular way, or we try to mimic the sound forcefully, that's when we get into problems. Remember, an operatic sound needs to be loud, resonant, cut through orchestra, fill a grand hall. You're not gonna get it through either sighing with no sort of subglottic pressure, but you're also not going to get it through grunting, muscular tension. These are two extremes. I teach the sigh, I teach the falsetto as a development tool, step one, to get a singer to realize that they can phonate in a very easy way without grabbing musculature, tension. But that's step one. You still need step 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 100. But most people start with step 100, or they try to get the final product. And again, most people, that leads to tension and forcing. So don't get them mixed up. One is a development tool, an isolation concept to begin your vocal journey in a healthy way without building bad habits. The other is the other extreme, which is tension, force, which we want to avoid. As you continue in your vocal journey and you get to step 2, step 3, step 4, all these concepts culminate into the final product. And the final product is a very engaged sound. There's a lot of pressure happening there, but it is controlled, healthy pressure, which takes time to understand and develop. So I really wanted to get that out of the way for any misinterpretation. The reason why singing opera for many is very therapeutic, because it's this release of pressurized sound. A lot of people have compared it to controlled screaming or a controlled yell, which is somewhat correct. When you yell to someone, or perhaps you're angry, hey, what's wrong with you? Hey, we're in this resonant sound. It's not here. It's almost like it's coming from the body itself, which it is. It's sul fiato, on the breath. Hey! It's not grunted, or shouldn't be at least. It is very much aspirated. And we can only do this if, number one, we open the throat, larynx lowers, soft palate rises. We're in this yawn position, and we have to maintain this. And number two, As a singer, your only job, other than opening the throat, is say that you're going to intentionally release a pressurized amount of air. Aspirate. Without the larynx going back up again. Always maintaining the open throat. Always. Practice that. It's a very deep breath. Most of you aren't going deep enough. Maria Callas said that this preparation, this onset, is like a breath or an inhalation of surprise. Oh my God. Really think about opening that throat. And as you aspirate, you maintain that throat open. This is very similar to when we go for a run. Maybe we ran for a mile, or maybe we're sprinting. And then we finish. We're out of breath. We feel that deep breath coming in and that aspiration coming out. We don't even do it. The body does it because we have engaged in some sort of physical exercise, which is why I am a huge promoter of doing physical exercises before you warm up, before you sing, doing HIIT, Tabata, going out for a run, doing plyometrics, cardiovascular workouts that really get this mechanism of inhalation, exhalation, really deep, almost like if you're hyperventilating, but doing so with an open throat. So aspiration, sigh, it's breathy. The cords aren't closed, they're loose, but hey, you're maintaining an open throat and you're on the breath, sul fiato. There's an element of air flowing through the cords. That's great if you are doing step one. If you're a singer that perhaps has been tensing a lot, has a lot of pressure, has been forcing a lot. Let the air release. You have a hose. This is your hose. But instead of water, when you turn it on, it flows air, and it doesn't stop flowing air ever. Ever. It's this release of sound. Oh my God. And so what happens when you close your cords? You get a moan. So the next level to the sigh, which is breathy, no subglottic pressure, just air coming through a very open airway. When you close your cords, you should get a moan. But it's the same sensation. The sigh, the moan. Oh my God! You can relate to that however you want. The idea is when you close your cords, you're now connected to the full voice. And we need to be able to juggle this idea of the cricothyroid stretching and thinning the vocal cords as we ascend with this minimum cord closure. This is very difficult. This is where most people get it wrong. They close too harshly, too muscularly. It's almost very grunt-like, very aggressive, which means very little air is going through the cords. It's squeaking through, which means that you're closing your cords muscularly. And that's going to kill your stamina. It's going to give you a lot of fatigue. The sound is going to be very tense. That's not a moan, that's a grunt. We need to be able to balance this idea of minimum cord closure, just enough to get a resonant moan-like sound. And be able to, as we ascend, stretch and thin the vocal cords, integrating head voice, but still finding that minimum cord closure. This is what I talked about with the video of the squeak. Oh my God! Imagine you just ate some delicious food. Oh wow. And be able to do it with a vowel that is very Italianate, very clear. When you sustain that moan, which again will take time, when you sustain that moan, you're going to have a release sound like that aspiration, like that sigh, but with cord closure. And you're going to feel that ping, laser-like quality. The sound requires focus. And you're only going to get that focus if, number one, the sound is coming deep from engagement in the body, this aspiration. Again, like if you just worked out and you're hyperventilating. And number two, that air, that breath, that space as well from that open throat is going to funnel through narrow, closed cords, but closed in minimally, without muscular tension. This is why Italians, for example, have this almost have this born-like resonance in their sound, because they're never singing breathy. H doesn't exist in their language. It's always enunciated, uttered. Subglottic attacks. Che cosa fai? Tutto bene? Sì. Presto. Andiamo. I, o, u. That subglottic pressure that comes with having chord closure is naturally ingrained in their vocabulary, in their speech, in their language. And all the vowels are pure vowels. It's not o, I. Ciao ragazzo, tutto bene, sì, with the diphthongs. Like you find in the English language so much, which is very dark, very breathy, lots of diphthongs, oin, coin, doing, lying. Oh, lots of H's. Hi, how are you? Hello. It's here, dento, squillante. But do not mistake when I say that this idea of the sigh, right? This breathy, starting with a yawn. This is step one to get the singer to understand that first, they must be in an open throat position always, and it's easier to train the open throat position without subglottic pressure, and that's what a breathy tone does. It takes away the subglottic pressure because the cords are not closed. They're very loose. So this type of sound doesn't have subglottic pressure. It's very easy to sing this way. And so a singer who's first starting out can develop the coordination, not the strength or muscularity, but the coordination of maintaining gola aperta, open throat, when the sound is breathy. But that's step one. Step two, once you find this release, and we're also integrating this idea of stretching and thinning the cords, activating the cricothyroid, step two would be to find this moan-like sound. Breathy, sighful. Moan. Great. Then step three would be to do that with an open throat. Great. Step four is now to get these subtle subglottic attacks. Because we're now dealing with subglottic pressure. Please do not misunderstand. In opera singing, we as men have to deal with subglottic pressure. This is pressure built up underneath the cords. You need this so that the sound shoots out in a resonant, pressurized way. Much like when you yell, hey! It's not, hey, what's wrong with you? No, full-bodied sound. Hey! Exactly the words of Laudi Volpi. Recitar cantando. Singing is an extension of reciting. Reciting, like if you're reciting Shakespeare. I've said this in my previous videos before. Like if you're in a large hall of 10,000 people, you don't go, hello everyone, nice to meet you. No one's gonna hear you. You go, hello everyone, nice to meet you. We have a great show for you tonight. That is the extension of operatic singing. So it's not, it's full-bodied, and it all begins with the breath. And it is engaged through the appoggio. But in order to understand how to do that, we need to open this hose. We need to turn it on. And that is rule number one, gola aperta. Now it's on, okay? It's on. I have an open throat. Because of that, my speech has changed, okay? It's very breathy, okay? Now I'm talking to you in an open throat, but with chord closure, so it sounds like I'm reciting. And while I'm opening my throat, I'm also trying to find this squillante temperament to my sound. So I don't sing like this, but I sing like this, almost like these old school auctioneers. I have 100, 100, 100, 150, 200, 200, yeah, yeah, dang, 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 But doing so with an open throat, So, I digress. Going back, subglottic attacks. Open throat with that space and this little plosive chord closure attacks like little moans. The next step after that is sustaining. A little bit longer. As you sing, feeling that release. Again, the release doesn't mean falsetto. The release means on the air, that aspiration feeling in which the body is very much engaged. It's release on the body, not here. Here. It's okay if you want to add a little H for now to give you that feeling of aspiration and then close. But get used to taking away the H and feeling that uttered, clean, clear vowel. E. This is why they say cantare come parlare. Cantare come parlare has nothing to do with vocal technique. Cantare parlare is for the audience. They're saying, wow, this singer is so clear with his vowels, it's almost like if he's singing like he speaks. But we don't sing like we speak. Unless we're singing how we speak with an open throat, which is technically reciting. E. It all starts from this feeling of moan. Chord closure and resonance all starts from this feeling of moaning. And no one has ever hurt themselves when they moan. On the opposite, when you moan, it's because you're feeling some sort of pleasure. Let's be honest. Whether it is delicious food, whether it is you're getting a massage, or whether it is number 3, which I think we all know what we're talking about. No one hurts themselves. If anything, it's an effect of the body feeling relaxed and pleasured. It's a release sound. Very primitive. Take that sound, that quality of feeling, that sensation, and sustain it. As you ascend, integrating a little bit more head voice, so that we can still get chord closure, like squeak, but still maintain that feeling of pleasurable, released moan. Always in an open throat position. Falsetto, sigh, moan. These are all development tools to take you from step by step, developing a phonation process that doesn't involve muscularity and tension, but freedom and release. The more released a sound is, the more flexible, buoyant, rubber-like, the more loud and resonant it's going to be when you integrate the body aspect to it, the appoggio aspect to it. Again, the sound is not Nobody sings chi son, chi son. That's not opera, that's crooning. However, crooning and falsetto, what I just demonstrated, is not bad as a development tool if you're a singer that doesn't understand how to stretch and thin their chords yet. If when you sing, you're still maintaining your chords short and fat and thick, just like we would when we speak, then concepts like falsetto, concepts like the sigh, singing breathy will help release that tension for now. Ooh, ooh, and little by little, we want to integrate more and more chest, more and more chord closure. And then little by little, start bringing in more of the body. And then now you're starting to get the depth of the sound, the volume of the sound. Singing is not here. It's not in your throat. Singing begins in your lungs, in the body. You inhale air, stretch those intercostals, fill up that tank, fill up those lungs, and then you use that diaphragm, which is an involuntary movement, to squeeze those lungs of the air. That air needs a narrow pathway for it to shoot out pressurized. When we understand how these mechanisms work, you realize that you as a singer just have two jobs. Your first job is to inhale and make that preparation, that open throat. And your second job is to now think, I am going to make an intentional decision to release a pressurized amount of air. A pressurized amount of air. Energized. Not just release air. That's just me releasing air. No, it's got to be pressurized. The only way to make it pressurized is to have chord closure, a narrow opening. Just there. Now, intention of pressure. Just there, pressure. When I do that, the body kicks in naturally. So please do not forget this idea of finding chord closure minimally, just like we do when we moan, and then going to the next level by thinking more about getting into the body. Singing opera is a physical activity. It's the Olympics of the voice. It's the Olympics of singing. It's not lazy. That sort of sound, again, is a good development tool to reach the final result, but it's not the final result. It's very similar to singing while marking. You know, when a singer marks because they're sick or they're tired or they want to save their voice, they go into this heady quality falsetto sound. Very much the style of pop, but not in opera. Opera is full-bodied chest sound that we take from the bottom all the way to the top in a healthy way, in a gentle way. And this is the gentle approach, doing these steps one by one by one. But you need to do step one before you do step 100. And most people try to just go for the final result immediately. No, your body needs to learn. It's very much reliant in muscle memory. So teach it step by step what it needs to do. Isolate these ideas of opening the throat. Isolate the idea of releasing the sound. Isolate the idea of chord closure. Isolate the idea of stretching and thinning, which you can do with falsetto. In my opinion, this is the best way to start to learn how to navigate through this very complex process of creating an operatic sound. Like always, these are my thoughts, my experiences that have helped me get to where I am today with my voice, with my career. Feel free to try it out. If you disagree with it, no one's forcing you to do it. I always wish you guys good luck on your vocal journey. I hope this clears up also some misinterpretations about just singing on a sigh. No, that's not operatic. Over time, the final result is to be able to have a full-bodied, chest-dominant sound from bottom to the top, integrating more head voice along the way in order to allow the chords to thin and stretch. Laudi Volpi said there's two chambers of resonance, the chest, the head. Salvatore Fisichella says, breaks it down even further, says there's 5. Chest, larynx, pharyngeal, mask, and occipital. Which if you think about it, it's still chest, head. As we ascend, we need to be able to activate these chambers of resonance progressively. That low note is going to be very much chesty, very close to how I speak. Still with an open throat position, but with very, very pure vowels. Think of that moan. As we ascend, the sound is going to feel like it's ascending with us, progressively hitting these chambers of resonance to the point that when we're singing at our extreme high, it's going to feel quite heady. Head dominant, as if the sound is coming through here, even though the sound, well, is always coming through here, the vocal cords, right? The vocal cords don't go up and down up your head. The sound is always coming through here. But because of this element of stretching and thinning the cords, integrating more head voice while maintaining chord closure, the chamber of resonance, right? That buzz feeling seems like it's starting to get higher and higher and higher. If you're feeling these sensations, that is correct. Always maintaining the sound connected to the core, to the body. We don't switch to falsetto. That is a great development tool. You see? For singers who cannot take that sound without stretching and thinning, that's a great tool. Switching to falsetto to help reinforce muscle memory of stretching and thinning, not holding and grabbing. But little by little, as we continue to train over the years, that sound as we ascend needs to be connected to the core. Ah! 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 It's gotta come as a recitefulness, as a moan, as a yell, but in a healthy way, in a gentle way. Not here, but here. Always appoggiando the sound. All right, guys, I hope that helped a bit to clarify certain things. Follow this progression. Don't skip steps. You're gonna get to the final result. You will. Just be patient. If you're ever stuck, isolate that concept, isolate that problem, free up the sound, free up the voice. And if you're beginning, I always say your first step should be how to phonate. It doesn't have to be operatically, but just phonate a sound easily, in the most easiest way. Just, that's a sound. It costs you nothing. Experiment. Feel really connected to what that sensation is like. And never lose grasp of that. Never lose that sensation as you continue your step further and further and you add the open throat, the chord closure, the appoggio. As you add all these concepts, don't lose grasp of that beginning first step, which is this creating an easy sound, phonating easily. It's gonna save you so much time. If your sound is already like that, you're gonna have a hard time going through steps 1 through 100. You have to fix that first. If you're a more advanced singer, then perhaps those concepts don't apply to you because you've already trained your voice a certain way. So do not mistake me by telling you advanced singers to let go of chest voice and sing in falsetto. Ooh. No, it's a development tool. Continue working, continue studying. I'm gonna really try to buckle up this month and next month to really give live streams, more videos, more content. If you're not a member of the channel, click the subscribe button, become a member, and there's awesome perks that come with either choosing the advanced level or the basic level of a membership. And not only would we welcome you to our beautiful Confused Tenor Society, but also it really helps me out, it helps the channel out to be able to continue pushing content and spread this information, making it open to the public so that you guys can try it at home. Like always, the work continues. Ciao, ciao for now.